For this segment of John Redmann, Power of Attorney and De Todo Un Poco, Election Special 2017, our guest is Rachael Johnson, candidate for Civil Court Judge, which election takes place this Saturday, March 25th. Ms. Johnson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, John. I appreciate it.
Well, let's get right to our questions. First of all, let our viewers know, who are you and why is it that they should consider giving you their vote for judge on our Civil District Court in Orleans Parish?
Well, I'm a New Orleans girl born and raised. I am a person who loves people, who cares about people. I started my career as a social worker. I'm a lawyer who's practiced both plaintiffs and defense work, and I've also done a little bit of city government work, so I've got a diversity of perspective, which is a great trait to have from the bench. And I am going to be a fair and impartial judge, and I'm competent. And those are the most important things that they should know about me.
Okay. All right, so tell us a little bit more about that background. Let's hear more about your resume. You said you've done work as a lawyer, both plaintiff and defense. Why is that important? And tell us a little more about that work history.
I first started as a law clerk at Civil District Court, where I'm trying to be elected to, and that gave me a very good picture of how the court runs, of course. I started my career as a practicing attorney, basically as a lawyer for injured people and for families who lost loved ones. I also did some products liability cases. Now I work as a lawyer who I defend an insurance company and the people they insure. And so that's important because there's all kinds of cases that will come to Civil District Court, and it's important for a judge to have a perspective on both sides of the bar, not just one side only. And I bring that to this race. Okay. Now, in Civil District Court, civil cases, not criminal cases, all kinds of people come there for their cases, being sued or suing. What about minorities? What can you tell the Hispanic community in particular about your platform and how you intend to administer justice when minorities are present, either those being sued or people who wish to bring claims? Well, they should know that I believe that all people, no matter what their race or ethnicity, have the right to come and have their issues redressed and heard. And so I am a person, and I'm a champion for that cause, that everyone has a voice, and their voice is important. And this system is for everyone, not just folks who are majority. Every minority and every ethnicity deserves to have access to the court system. And so I'm committed to make sure everyone is heard, everyone is respected when they come to my court, and they can have their issues heard in a fair and impartial way.
On that note, do you believe that in general, people in Civil District Court are getting adequate access to justice?
You know, I think access to justice is a huge issue and sometimes a problem. I think we're working on it. I think, you know, the court has set up a help desk to help people who don't have lawyers and who can afford lawyers. But also there are other agencies that try to help people who can't afford a lawyer. I'm on the board of the Pro Bono Project, meaning we are trying to make sure people who can't afford legal services, they still have access to the court system. Economics plays a huge factor in whether folks can adequately access the court system. And that shouldn't be anybody, whether they can afford a lawyer that costs $500 an hour or can't afford a lawyer at all, they should be able to have the same access to the court system. So we should keep working on that issue.
Okay. Now, if elected judge in Civil District Court, what do you think would be some of the most important things that a Civil District Court or traits or characteristics that help a judge to do a judge's work?
Well, you know, like I said, I started my career as a social worker, and at the end of the day, I really do believe, and as a social worker, I understand people and the issues they face every day. At the end of the day, I believe that everything comes down to people, whether it's a business or whether it's an individual litigant at Civil District Court. And so the characteristics for the right judge or the right person to be judged is, I think, someone who does care about people, cares about this community and the people that live in it, but also who's going to be fair, who's going to make sure that every person is respected when they come to the court, and competence. Competence is paramount as well, and that goes back to, like I said, I've practiced on both sides. I have the mindset that I can think with both sides of my brain and not just one side, and that is very important for folks when they come to court.
All right, here's a question I want to ask all the candidates, and that includes you. I'd like you to describe for us, if you could, a situation in which you took in your career as an attorney, a controversial position that perhaps offended people, or many people, or angered people, and how did you respond to that reaction?
So, in my practice, I can think of a situation probably in the last, I think it's probably been a couple years now, where I was defending Hartford, the insurance company, and there was a situation where we were sued because a family had lost a loved one, and there was some cultural differences that were brought up, and I had to take a hard line with my client and say, listen, in the Black community, these are the things that are important, and this is why we need to take a different stance on our position in this case. And it wasn't popular at the time, but I stuck to what I knew was true about this certain segment of people in the community, and they realized that I was right. And I believe, listen, if there is something that needs to be said in terms of taking a stance, even if it's not popular, I am going to stick to that, especially when it is to help some people who don't have a voice. And so I am definitely a champion of that mindset and of that value, and I always have been. And so in that case, my client came around and they agreed with me and understood why they needed to change their tone. But even if they hadn't, I still would be proud of the way I handled that situation, because I knew that that community needed to be represented in that way, and that cultural norm needed to be brought up.
Are there any last comments to our viewers to help them make up their minds for whom they might like to vote for judge for Civil District Court in this election on March 25th?
Yes, again, thank you for the opportunity. I am uniquely qualified for this position because of my background, because of my strong work ethic, and my strong sense of community and love for this community. And I have been a trial attorney since law school, actually, and my background in social work combined with my trial skills and my knowledge of the court system makes me the best candidate for this position, and I would love to have your viewers' support on March 25th, Rachael Johnson, number 10 on the ballot.
Okay. Rachael Johnson, thank you so much for being with us. Next up, we go back into the field for our next interview after this quick break.